evening. Welcome back to the Astroimaging Journey channel. Tonight, I think I might actually have the Sequence Generator Pro stuff figured out. So let's get ourselves polar aligned and let's see what happens.
Okay, so let me get everything connected here, and then we'll try attempt number 2. Okay, apologies if you hear my dogs in the background barking, something must be outside. So I actually recorded attempt number 2, which is what you're seeing on the screen now, and also an attempt number 3 and the final working. However, the screen capture software did not like the screensavers, so those videos were corrupted. Anyways, what you're seeing here is I was just going through the settings that I thought might work, but they didn't. So what I'm going to show you here in a few after this finish is what I found to be working, what the problem was, and the hardware issue I had. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first problem we had to solve was, why is it not plate solving? The root cause was the duration of the frame. I had enabled mirror lock on the camera as well as the pause setting in SGP. I'll get into that in a later video, specifically the SGP settings. So what was happening was SGP was sending the signal to supposedly lock the mirror up on the DSLR, and then sending another signal to try and start the exposure. But this is not what was actually happening. What was actually happening was SGP was sending the signal, and the camera was starting the exposure right away, instead of letting the mirrors settle. So 1 second later, SGP would send the signal to start the exposure, and the camera would say, "No, I'm done." And I would end up with a 1 second exposure. Excuse me. Anyways, found this out through some help with the people over at the Cloudy Nights forums, and lo and behold, once I disabled mirror lock in the camera and did not use that setting in SGP, if I set it for 15 seconds, I would get 15 seconds. But we need to know how to verify this. So the images we have on the screen here are 2 2-minute exposures. At least that's what the file name says. That file name is created from SGP, so we would expect them to be 120 seconds. So what we're going to do is we're going to select one of the images, and then we're going to come down to Properties, and then click on the Details tab. Now you're going to see an exposure time as one of the values. In this case, it is 120 seconds. I was finding that the images I was taking in the place-solving image were 1 second, and they weren't what the duration they were expected to be, 15, 60, 120, whatever the time I had selected. Once this was figured out, things started to rock and roll without an issue. So the second item that I had to figure out was this error 22. Again, cloudy nights and SGP forums. Come to find out, this is an error thrown by Windows, and that it's a hardware failure. But everything was working. So what I have here is try to run it a little bit remotely. And by that I mean I want to be inside where it's warm and the stuff sit outside where it's cold. So what I did was I had purchased a media converter. Converts USB to Ethernet, not true Ethernet signaling, just onto an RJ45 base cable, and then back to USB. Everything was working, but every so often this error would pop up, and I'd be going in and looking at the device manager and seeing what had failed, and you know, I was troubleshooting the piece of equipment where the single point of failure was either the cable or the media converters. So after some testing, going out, plugging everything directly into a hub directly connected to the laptop, found out, sure enough, it was either the media converter or the cable. Had a spare cable, still happened. So, media converters. So what I have on the screen here is the solution that I found. It's a powered USB hub and media converter all in 2 little units. The hub portion is mounted on the OTA and it is powered. And then the one where you can actually see the RJ45 and USB connection on the top there, that's inside and connects directly to the laptop. Once I went with this slightly more expensive version, have not had a problem since. Able to go outside, make sure I'm polar aligned, focused, and anything else I need to do for initial setup, and then walk inside, connect this thing up, and I can stay warm and dry, and the OTA is out there doing its job. So this has been an absolute godsend. So with that, I'm going to end the video here. Long and short of it is, I finally have SGP working. Took 4 nights of attempts and about 2 or 3 weeks working with people on different forums, but in the end, it's rocking, it's rolling. The past few months have been great. So with that, I'm going to bid you a good day, clear skies, and thank you.